'Tis I. Hey everyone, glad to see you back, glad to see you looking fresh. So, the Game Awards are upon us once again, and this is my yearly look into the Game Awards and what to look forward to and the excitement around it. And it also acts as my anniversary, because as of yesterday, I'll be doing YouTube for 2 years, which is crazy, because it has not felt that long, and it's also felt like way longer at the same time. It's been a very strange ride for me, and I'm happy to have any of you here watching this video. Thank you for sticking with me for 2 years, and hopefully many more to come. So, the 2022 Game Awards are an interesting case, because unlike last year, where I felt like the game selection was a bit on the weird side, and not that none of them didn't deserve it, it's just that there wasn't any true frontrunners. And the year before that, even though we had a not great year, the game selection was pretty excellent for the Game of the Year anyway. So, when it comes to this year, and we have 2 insane frontrunners, and then 4 others that deserve to be there, and honestly, to me, it's between God of War and Elden Ring, and if you were to ask me who's gonna win, it's Elden Ring's game to lose. Now, the factors that normally go into picking what I think is going to win Game of the Year kind of get thrown out the window in this case, because I normally think of, like, what is the most popular, that gets to play into it. Obviously, that's not the only thing, but all of these are small parts to a larger whole, so popularity is a part. You know, if the more people played it, the more people have a chance to vote on it. The length of it, a game can't be too long, a game can't be too short. This needs to leave a lasting impression without overstaying its welcome and overburdening the voter. The difficulty, I think a game can't be too difficult or whatever, but that rule got tossed out the window when Sekiro won a few years ago. When that won, it completely shook up my whole idea of, like, a game can't be, like, too hard, because then the people that are voting, it's going to turn some people off, and they're not going to vote it because of how hard it is. But when that won, it didn't matter how hard it was. It was voted Game of the Year by a lot of people, and it won. So, Elden Ring has that same chance to win this time. And, of course, God of War, the year before Sekiro won that year as well. So, both have a precedent of their franchise. I guess Elden Ring is its own beast, but it's the Souls-like From Software games are kind of their own franchise, I guess. I don't know if that's the exact word for it. They're the same feeling. You know, it's very much its own thing. Elden Ring, you can play without touching a Souls-like, and you'll be fine. Well, fine in the sense of how much pain do you want to put yourself through. But you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about story or anything. Where God of War Ragnarok, I feel like you need to have played the last game to really enjoy this one, and even before that, there's an entire franchise that one builds off of. So, but the other 4, like I said, the other 4 deserve to be there. Stray, I think, is a very interesting choice. That's our resident indie pick. I know that there's not a guaranteed indie pick, but there always seems to be an indie pick in there, which is very nice. I'm very happy to see that be the case. In years past, Hades was the choice, and there was Celeste one year, and one year that won it was It Takes Two. That was a lovely thing. The indie pick being in there is always a nice thing to see. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 being one of the choices is more surprising to me than Stray being in there. I think that a lot of people kind of toss that one out, being like, even if it deserves it, not enough people are going to play it, not enough people are going to vote for it. It's just kind of going to get washed under the rug. It might win Best RPG, but it'll probably lose to Elden Ring, and then it just exists. That's an interesting one to be there. Will I think it win? Absolutely not. There's no shot. It was, if they had like a ranking of all 6 that came out, which I understand why they don't do that, but if they did, I feel like that one would be 6. And I'm not even saying that to be mean. I like Xenoblade. It's just the brass tacks of it all. There's also Plague Tale Requiem, which is another interesting one, because I feel like no one talked about that in such high level until like 2 weeks before the awards came out, or the nominations came out, I should say. Because no talk, I forgot the game even come out. I still haven't played the first one yet, so I wasn't hyped about the second one. I do want to play these. It's just Haven't got around to them yet. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks before the nominations, everyone was like, Plague's Tale. Look for Plague's Tale. Plague's Tale's going to be on there. And I was like, what? Why that one? But they were right. It was there. I would have had my money down on Last of Us Part 1 securing a spot, but I'm kind of happy that's not there because it's Last of Us again, but that's beside the point. I thought for sure it is a new game that would have its time in the spotlight there. And of course, the forgotten child of Horizon Forbidden West, which had to step toe-to-toe with Elden Ring once this year, and when Elden Ring took over the pop culture zeitgeist, and unfortunately Horizon didn't, much like it did with Zelda. I feel like, I don't know if PlayStation's trying to prove a point, or what, when they're like, let's put Horizon up against another big open world game the same weekend, twice in a row. I don't know if it's a mistake, I don't know if it's them trying to say something, I don't know if they're setting it to die, maybe the heads of PlayStation don't like Horizon, but it continues to flourish in its own right regardless. And, I'm proud of it for sticking through it. I'm proud of it for being here because it deserves to be here. Again, I don't think it'll take it. I legitimately think that its, weekend counterpart is going to be the one to take it, much like last time when Zelda won. I do believe that God of War still has a chance, though. A small one, but it's not like if it wins, I'm going to be shocked that it won. It's not like when it beat Red Dead in an upset, I was shocked. I was very shocked. If it wins this upset, I will not be as surprised. But I do still think Elden Ring kind of has it in the bag. It's got to be just a game of, how many can Elden Ring win? Although, looking at the rest of the nominations, I wouldn't pick it over many things in many categories. I think just as a greater whole, it exemplifies, what the gaming community was really about. Because something like Best RPG, I wouldn't pick it for that. I talked about it in my Live Alive video a few months ago that I wouldn't pick it, and it would be here, and it is. I'm happy to see Live Alive in this contention, but there's no shot it wins because it's up against 2 Game of the Year nominations, and then a Pokemon, and then its fellow HD 2D game. So I voted for it. But there's no way it wins. There's other games that I was excited to see nominations for, like KOF 15 being nominated for Best Fighting Game. And obviously there wasn't much for fighting games this year, but seeing that was very fun to see. Seeing the Turtles get a lot of noms for what the game is. Obviously didn't get nominated for Game of the Year, but it getting a decent amount of nominations regardless was fun to see. Seeing Pokemon even get nominated for Best RPG was cool. I think that's really cool. If it wins, whoa, it won't. But imagine if it did. That'd be crazy. I feel like, I don't want to get too much into it. The thing with Pokemon right now, there's a lot of talk with Scarlet and Violet, obviously, and Pokemon's quality levels, and should they be more? Could they be more? Will they be more? A lot of stuff like that. I also think that while, yes, they could, should, and probably will be better going forward, they are good now. They're just not as good as a lot of people want them to be. And I question whether or not, if they were the level that people claim they want them to be, would they be recognized as great games, or would they still just be thrown under the rug as Pokemon games? Because if Arceus came out, say it looks as good as Elden Ring, let's just hypothetically say it, would it be claimed as one of the best games of all time? I don't think it would. I think people would still find a reason to complain about it because it's a Pokemon game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm 100% wrong. Maybe Scarlet and Violet, same deal, came out and looked as good as Elden Ring does. Ran as smooth as Elden Ring does. I feel like people would still complain. It's a Pokemon game, Maybe I'm just projecting, but that's just my thoughts on that. Also, because it's a Game Awards and it's a show more about announcements and awards, which I find silly, except more and more every year that's the case, and we'll see more announcements than we will awards on stage, which seems backwards, but hey, we're still excited to see all these announcements, so that's fun. I don't predict a ton off the top of my head. Obviously, we'll see a ton, but there's nothing I'm like, we're gonna see this. I still think we'll see whatever NetherRealm is working on, whether that be Injustice 3, which I hope, or Mortal Kombat 12, which I don't hope, because we just got a Mortal Kombat, and I want Injustice, because I prefer that. Either way, I'm sure we'll see something from them. Maybe something from like WB, because we saw last year a Wonder Woman game and that looked cool. We also have the Suicide Squad game coming, so that might be good. Maybe something from like Spider-Man or Wolverine, but typically the big three don't show off a lot. They show off like one thing. Nintendo, it used to be an easy one to just show a Smash character and move on. The Xbox and PlayStation typically only show like one thing too, and then everyone always complains like, why are the big three only showing one thing? I don't know, because they all have their own like presentations at this point. That's why. So it's all down to the smaller ones. I say smaller ones, like something like a Capcom isn't massive. There's not a ton that I'm like guaranteed upon showing up regardless. Something like, Final Fantasy would be cool, whether that be 7 Part 2 or 16, either one. Probably like a trailer would show up for Crisis Core, because the game's coming out soon after the show. So I think that'll about do it for me and my discussion of the Game Awards this year. What games are you looking forward to seeing announced? What games are you looking forward to win in any category? I didn't cover everyone here, but, is it Elden Ring? Are you rooting for God of War, the underdog, which is weird to say? Or maybe you are holding out a glimmer of hope that somehow Aloy clutches it. That would be incredible. If Stray won, if Stray won, that would be the greatest thing the entire night. A lot of people call it the cat game, simply put, trying to undermine it. Amazing. If that one game of the year. Thank you so very much for watching. As always, like this if you like this, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you at some point.